Hi, folks. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining us. Today's show is the first one I'll be doing with my new co host, Marie Smith, and we'll be discussing the third episode of Star Trek Discovery's third season entitled People of Earth. Welcome, Marie.
Hi.
What do you think of this episode?
Really, in this episode, what we've got Burnham reunited with her crew, and she's been through, and the crew have been through this huge, massive experience. And I think what we're seeing with this episode is some of the fallout from that. And they make their way to Earth, which is just wow, that's really great. But Starfleet's no longer there. How are they going to cope with that? And then we find out there's these raiders who are wanting the dilithium, and it's Booker and Burnham who go against Saru to manage to get the raiders away from the Discovery. And actually, we find out that they're humans. And that whole story of how Earth has coped in the last 200 years was a really good story that came out in this episode. And they all ended up underneath the tree that they studied. So that's for me, kind of like a very, very basic overview of the episode.
Well, that was great.
Yeah. What did you think? What was the sort of standout moments? Did you think, Dan?
I like some of the visual effect shots actually. The
Oh yeah.
tree at the end, the fleet of ships that explode all at the same time.
I mean, for me, a lot of Star Trek is about the relationships between the crew. I think Discovery, one of the things, I mean, she starts off with this personal log, Burnham, and she's on her own. It's a personal log while she's having this year while she's looking for Discovery. She's a courier, she's trading for dilithium so she can search for Discovery. And she uses a phrase where she's talking to Discovery, hoping that they get this message, and she says, "I will always love you." And it just says to me that this is more than a crew. This is more than friends. These are family to her. And when she's chatting to Book, and Grudge is in the background, love Grudge, and they're chatting away, and then she gets this message, and it's Discovery, and it's, I mean, the acting, the emotion on all of them, but Sonequa Martin Green, oh, just it's just outstanding. I loved that. I love to see that. But you can see as the episode goes on, she has changed.
Yeah,
And
I was thinking about how you see her change. It's portrayed with like the changes in her hairstyle during the flashback sequence. I thought that was really quite effective.
yeah. You can see how there's slight changes with the relationships, the relationship with Saru, the relationship with Tilly, but the humour's there, which is one of the things that I've liked with Discovery. Cake is eternal. Happy with that phrase. I can live with that phrase.
Yeah, it's very quirky, isn't it? Like, I think it sums up in that way quite well the relationship between Tilly and Burnham.
Yeah.
And they're reuniting after so long for Burnham, but yet like not as long for Tilly.
Yeah, for Tilly, it's been a couple of days, really. But the magnitude of the realization of losing friends and family centuries ago is still there for her. So that was really well played by Mary Wiseman. And I love, from a female point of view, I love that there are actresses on there that are not stick insects. You know, it's nice to see. Sometimes you look on telly and it's all really thin, stunningly beautiful actresses, and it's something that you look at it and it's not real life. So it's nice to see all different shapes and sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that without sounding rude. It's nice to see.
I know. Well, I noticed on Facebook someone had pointed out that the actress of Tilly, Mary Wiseman, was actually pregnant when they shot at least some of the series.
Yeah,
It was interesting.
yeah, which is obviously lovely. And I do believe her husband is joining the Discovery cast.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
yes.
Sneak remark, and Green's husband's also been in the show.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll forgive her.
He played like father of young Burnham.
Oh, she does that flashback in season 1.
And I
One
think
or
it's
two.
in season 2.
Yeah,
And I'm sure he voiced the character in, there was a short track that was an animated short track back to that time period. The Girl Who Made the Stars, it's called.
Want to hear the story of the girl who made the stars?
Yes.
Love it.
Plays the
Love
same
the
character.
fact that this Trek family is a
Mhm.
proper family.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't think it's given anything away by saying that Mary Wiseman's husband played the Andorian.
Oh, right, okay.
And again, he's been a massive Trekkie fan for years. He put on Twitter like a minute video of him in loads of cons, meeting people, and I think there's a picture of him meeting Patrick Stewart and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw a headline about that. It was like saying like it's making this Trackie's like dreams come true, basically.
Can you imagine?
That's cool.
Yeah. The whole scene of who is going to be captain, I thought was really well done. Saru says, "Come on, Burnham, let's go and have a chat." And Burnham's like, "No, you're the captain." And she uses a phrase and she says, "You are the captain in the truest sense of the word." And it proper like, yeah, because he's, some of the phrases he's used. I mean, he was the one that coined "We are Starfleet." And the whole arc for the last 2 and a bit series of this scared Kelpian now becoming this captain.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great. And then he sits down and he says, "Let's begin together." So yeah, I thought that was really great. What were your thoughts on that?
I was definitely delighted when he's made captain, at least by the crew, if not officially by like Starfleet from their own time period.
Yeah, and all the crew just looked at him. As soon as that was said, it was like the whole crew just accepted him, more than happy that he was their captain. So yeah, that was really, really nice.
I found it a little bit annoying that Burnham and Booker weren't portrayed as beginning the romance during this episode, and it's not until later in the series that their romance starts. So I thought it seems a bit strange to me that it starts later. But I did think, well, we don't know what the writers have in mind, so yeah, it might be there might be a reason why they've deliberately done that. I'm not sure.
There's definitely chemistry there. When you see her helping him with his uniform, the one that gives him the rash.
I suppose also it gives them material for, I think it's Giorgio that says, sort of teases him, and he's like, "Oh, no, we're not together." So
Yeah, maybe it's because if there was a relationship at that point, it would make it more awkward for Saru. They've got to say goodbye to each other. And if there was a relationship, I mean, she says, you've got a new quadrant, a fresh start. They're saying goodbye to each other, even if it is in their mind temporary. They're hoping as their friends that they're gonna move. They're gonna meet up again at some point. If they were in a relationship, that couldn't happen. And maybe there's something amazing coming up. But yeah. After a year together, that close together, with that much chemistry.
I thought
Really?
if he dies in like the next episode or something, surely that would be like, they built up to that bit of emotional intensity, so it would make it more extreme for Burnham if he's to die.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. And who would look after Grudge?
I was slightly disappointed that although he's shown briefly in the flashback at the start of this episode, Sahil, the communications expert, doesn't appear more in this episode, and he doesn't have any dialogue either. So I really enjoyed that character from the first episode from the season.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something, he stands for Starfleet, doesn't he? That sort of belief that it's there, and I'd like to see more of that. There's got to be something more. Hopefully in the future episodes we're going to see more of him.
Yeah, hopefully. What
did you think of the sort of subplots of the Earth Defence Force and when the dilithium raider?
Yeah, I really liked this returning to United Earth, because it was like at the start of the original series, the Enterprise is under the auspices, or if that's the right word, under the supervision of the United Earth Space Probe Agency. So it's like a return to that concept of United Earth being in place, which I don't think has been really explored very much in the grand scheme of Star Trek. But yeah, I was quite like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did like the fact that the Raiders are from Titan. It sort of reminded me a bit of some Voyager episodes where they're humans that have left Earth, or like Distant Origin, where there's dinosaurs that have left Earth. The Voyager episode with the humans that have left the planet is called the 37s.
Yes.
Reminded me a bit of that.
Yeah, that's a great episode. A really, really great episode.
Yeah.
A lot of good cast, and it's still quite early in their journey as well. So good. That's a good recommendation to get into Voyager. Actually, I liked that they'd had this issue at Titan, and they'd come back to their home planet for help, but because of the burn that had been going on, which was separate to the issue in Titan, Earth is just so scared and so frightened that they destroyed the ship that's come for help. And so Titans just assume that's it, we're at war with Earth now. And it's just ballooned into something that actually Discovery has managed to, by the negotiation, by the communication, as Saru was saying, has managed to get that dialogue going. I think maybe Burnham should have spoken to Saru about it. I think it was a very, very dangerous gamble by not telling Saru. This whole, if we think about how Discovery started two and a half seasons ago, with Burnham going a little bit off script, she's got form for this, and it got people into a lot of trouble. It got people hurt, and we've just got to make sure that she uses a phrase where she says, Book says, "Oh, do we need to ask anybody?" And she says, "We'll ask." I think she says something like, "We'll ask for forgiveness afterwards." And it's like, oh, this could blow up in your face. And it worked out this time, but Saru was quite clear that he wasn't overly impressed, but he still made her his first officer, which was great to see.
Yeah,
You're not sure?
I had a bit of an issue with when she becomes first officer, actually,
Okay, talk to me.
because I was like, maybe I missed something, but it seems like she sort of promotes herself into that position.
I suppose because it's either her or Saru to be captain, there's an assumption. I think he says something around, I was going to ask you to be my first officer. So I think
Right.
I think maybe it's that they've worked so well together and for so long. Maybe there's an assumption there. But yeah, I think she's just got to be careful because Saru's definitely a down the line kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is Starfleet and he does not bend rules. He does it by the book. Starfleet doesn't shoot first. Starfleet,
Yeah,
where's
really.
that Starfleet book? Because that's what he works with.
Yeah.
So,
I also remember, like, regarding the Raiders, I remember people were saying that they thought maybe it was going to be like manifestations of control, theorizing that because the design of their suits has got like the eyepiece is like 3 red lights and for at their eyes, which Arium had when she was taken over by Control in the
yes.
second season.
Yeah, it was a good pushback to that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure why he did that. Was that a case of he didn't, the Raiders didn't want them to know that they were human? Did I miss something there?
That's a good point, actually.
I have to ask, why has he done that? Is he trying to, is it his disguise to try and look like he's something different? I don't know. That was just a question I had.
Basically, I watch everything with subtitles on. But I did think to myself, well, if I wasn't watching this with subtitles, is their voice sort of changed to the extent where you might not even understand what they're saying? You know, the Raiders while they're wearing the costumes.
Okay.
But I don't think that would be really a problem because they're only on screen in the costumes for very short time, like relatively. It's not long before I think they're kicked to the ground by Giorgio or something like that, and the suit's taken off them.
That was a gamble. I mean, what happens if it had been a breathing apparatus or something?
Yeah.
She doesn't take any prisoners, that girl.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, when it happened, you're like, oh, okay, he's human. He was trying to look scary, you know. It was a big masquerade. But if that had been like his breathing apparatus, because you know he couldn't breathe our air or something like that, she's just killed him by knocking him to the ground. So,
which I suppose they could sort of take it the wrong way and take as an act of war. The death of their leader.
And if anyone's going to do that, that's going to be Jojo, isn't it?
Yeah. Surely if the Discovery's mission was classified as Saru tells Ndoye, it wouldn't explain the complete absence of the starship Discovery from Earth records. I thought it was a bit strange.
Yeah, I remember watching that thinking there's holes there. And if you're a science vessel, why would you be on, if it was maybe a military vessel, I can see why that would be. But a science vessel, I struggled a little bit with that. And it would have had more wear and tear for a 23rd, 25th century. There was holes there for me. I have a point, what I wanted to raise with you. Music.
Mhm.
So you've just got when Giorgio's just kicked Wen's helmet off and they've realised he's human and it and then you get Stammet looking for and finding Adira, this tween, as he called her. The music I thought was it suddenly went light, jovial. I was surprised because as we know, music is used to enhance, but also sometimes to lead the viewer. And I thought that maybe we were being led a little to go from, oh my God, he's human, to, oh, look at this. This is really fun and this is light. And wasn't sure about the music. It was maybe a little bit twee. I don't know. It was a nice play though between Stamets and Adira, and her explaining to him that she was buying time because she wanted to know if she could trust the crew. So that was quite nice. And as we get to know Adira more, and we start to understand about the Trill and the symbiont and the host, what we can find out about this whole character and the journey that is going to happen. This is going to be a really interesting part of this this series, I think.
Cool. I noticed that Burnham reacts as though saying "aye aye" when she's speaking with Booker is reserved exclusively for pirates and isn't usually used by Starfleet. And I had a look at where in Star Trek that phrase is used. The phrase is cited many times in the original series and the animated series, but not in later shows.
That is fascinating. Oh, so it's not just pirates. Star
No.
Trek has had it.
Yeah. But also, yeah, like I thought it's the same, obviously the same time period that Discovery originates from, isn't it? Like the 23rd century.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
And do we have to mention as well that he suddenly became Lieutenant Booker? Which he's already been promoted over Ensign Kim from Voyager.
I've been on Voyager for almost 7 years, and I'm still an ensign.
I mean, that guy doesn't get a break, does he?
Yeah, true. What does is it Captain or Admiral Giorgio makes herself?
She makes herself Admiral.
Yeah, I thought so.
Of course she does. Why wouldn't she? Nobody would have expected anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, the way she walked down that corridor, and it was a good interaction between her and Burnham. They were both struggling being back in that uniform for different reasons. And I think Giorgio says, once you've been out, you're back into it. People telling you what to do, where to go, when to do it. It can be difficult. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that with Burnham. This episode's directed by Jonathan Frakes, by the way, which when you see his name in the titles, it's not disrespect to any other directors, but it just gives you that whole, the family's all back together, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I noticed you said that used the phrase tween menace that Stamets uses to refer to Adira. But then Tilly sort of corrects him, calling Adira a teen genius.
Yes.
Twice. So I wondered what the difference is between tween and teen, as well as whether tween is maybe too modern a word. So I did some research. I wasn't entirely sure, but tween means like from the ages of 9 or 10 to 12,
right.
whereas teen is 13 to 19.
Right.
Also, the first recorded usage of the word tween dates back to 1987.
As early as that?
Yeah.
That's
surprised.
shocking. That's surprising.
Yeah.
That surprised me. Again, a little bit of the comedy or comedy humor comes out of one of those scenes was when Adira's in the spore drive and she's like looking at everything. And Tilly says, "We get it. You're clever. There's a lot of people here that are smart." There's some good interactions there. You know, Adira says, "This place is a museum." Yeah, well, museums are cool.
She says, "Well, this is what someone that would live in a museum would say."
Yeah, I mean, it's that humour that just lives it, and for me, it's that little bit of humour that Enterprise and Voyager had. Not doesn't take over the episode, but it sort of bounces underneath, and it gives it just that little bit of levity. That I struggled a bit with Picard because it wasn't there. Picard was a little bit drier for me personally, and I think that's why I've been really enjoying this season because it's got a little bit of everything this season. It's just great TV.
Yeah. Regarding the dialogue, I thought the amount of times that Burnham and Booker say, "Do you remember that time when?" It seemed a little bit like sort of contrived and sort of not realistic to me because in reality,
Corny.
like a bit corny as well. Like in reality, when would you say in such quick succession? Do you remember a time when you've been around that person for a while?
No. Okay, yeah, it didn't quite work for me. It, like you say, it was a little bit contrived. What I did like was them both dealing with when. So they were both saying, "This is what's going to happen," and there wasn't just one of them who was the lead on that one. It was both of them. And you could see they were it was an equal relationship, and you could see that from that's something that had been built up over that year together with Grudge, who just laid there like this queen.
Yeah. Well, you see her putting in the first episode and stuff like that when the ship's at warp and stuff.
She doesn't care. Care. I mean, there was that, again, a little bit of humour. "Oh, no, my nose swelled up when I broke it and Grudge wouldn't look at me and, you know, it broke my heart." And, yeah, he loves that cat.
Stamets seems to reveal Discovery's origin of 2258 to Adira really casually and very easily. I find this a bit odd since the crew are attempting to hide that fact.
This was in that scene in the walkway. Whilst I liked that they were trusting of each other, it came really quite easily for both of them. She's got this massive secret. She's a human that's got a Trill symbiont. That's never heard of before, and she has taken her, as we'll find out, you know, she's, you know, with Trills, you've got past experiences, so she's got all of this knowledge from this symbiont, and how it works with humans we've, you know, got to find out in the next episodes. But she gives that information quite easily as well. So whether they both have just got a feeling and they both just trust each other, because they both kind of tipped their cards, maybe.
Yeah, I did think maybe Stamets like it's so clear to him that she can be sort of trusted, because obviously like we don't know what's gone on entirely between scenes, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, she's obviously, what does she say? She's 16 years old. She's managed to put the ship into some sort of lockdown so nobody can transport out. You can't, you're struggling to communicate outside of the ship. She's done all of that whilst watching what other people were doing. She's obviously a really clever person, so Stamets obviously got some sort of link there because he thinks he's the cleverest guy ever.
Yeah.
So he's got a level there. He knows that.
Yeah.
I suppose it's just a case of I'll show you my hand, you show me yours, and they literally did, and that trust had been built up quite quickly there. So yeah, maybe just a little bit of a leap of faith, whether it's for them or for us as the viewers.
Yeah, true. And also noticed that the episode has a couple of connections to The Next Generation, sort of, where you were saying, well, it's not heard of for a human to carry a chill, but in The Next Generation episode, the host, Riker, carries one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Played by Jonathan Frakes. This episode's director.
Big circle. Big circle.
Yeah. And also the tree at the end, I noticed there's apparently a reference in the Next Generation episode, The Drumhead, in which crewman Simon Tarses remembers sitting under an elm tree at Starfleet Academy.
I used to sit under this big tree near the parade grounds.
An elm tree with a circular bench?
Yes, that's the one.
I spent many an hour there. It was my favorite spot to study.
I love that. I love that. It's a bit like a Boothby reference, that Boothby remembers Picard, that he got flowers for Janeway, that this academy where all these captains and crew members all have this sort of learned knowledge from this. It's almost like this anchor. And it really is in this episode that they can go back to, and it's safe and it's secure and it's got that knowledge. Yeah, that's a really good reference. Well found. Yeah, that's brilliant. So for me, it works so well in this third series. We're getting to know more about these new characters, a bit more about Book, who I just think he can't join Starfleet. He's too much of his own man. He's got too much of his own priorities there. But I love the fact that he was just a little bit involved in Starfleet. I love that we're seeing how Starfleet is struggling to Discovery is struggling to find their place in this new world, this new century, this new world. And yeah, I want to know more about how this relationship with Adira and Stamets. I want to know more about that. That's going to be something good, I think. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I found it really difficult to be critical about it because I thought there's so many good points to it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a great episode.
Yeah, really enjoyable.
Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.
Live long and prosper.